In the mountains of Tibet, there was a young man named Tenzin who had been raised in a Buddhist monastery since he was a child. Tenzin was a diligent student and had studied Buddhist teachings all his life. But despite his knowledge, he struggled to find peace in his mind. Every night, Tenzin would lay in his bed and toss and turn, his mind racing with thoughts and worries. He would try to meditate, but his mind would wander, and he would get frustrated with himself. Tenzin knew that he needed to find a way to calm his mind if he wanted to find true happiness. One day, Tenzin decided to seek the advice of the head monk at the monastery. He climbed up the steep mountain path to the elder monk's cave and sat down in front of him. "Master," Tenzin said, "I have been studying Buddhism my whole life, but I still struggle to calm my mind. I know that inner peace is the key to happiness, but I cannot seem to find it. What can I do?" The elder monk listened patiently to Tenzin's concerns, then responded, "Tenzin, my young friend, you have been studying Buddhism for many years, but you have yet to truly understand its teachings. To calm your mind, you must first learn to let go of your attachment to the world and your ego." Tenzin was confused. "Master, what do you mean by letting go of my attachment to the world and my ego?" The elder monk smiled. "Let me tell you a story, Tenzin. Once there was a man who lived in a small village at the base of a great mountain. Every day, the man would look up at the mountain and feel a great sense of awe and wonder. He longed to climb to the top of the mountain and see the world from its summit. The man set out on his journey to climb the mountain, and as he climbed higher and higher, he began to feel a sense of accomplishment and pride. "I am strong and brave," he thought to himself. "I will make it to the top." Finally, after many hours of climbing, the man reached the top of the mountain. He stood there, taking in the breathtaking view and feeling a sense of triumph. But as the man began to climb down the mountain, he noticed that the view from the top was no longer as impressive. He realized that he had been so focused on his own ego and his desire to conquer the mountain that he had missed the beauty of the journey itself. The elder monk paused for a moment, allowing Tenzin to reflect on the story. "Tenzin, the man in this story was so focused on his own desires and accomplishments that he failed to see the true beauty of the world around him. To calm your mind, you must learn to let go of your ego and your attachment to the world. Only then will you be able to see the world as it truly is, without the filter of your own desires and expectations." Tenzin nodded, understanding the lesson the elder monk was trying to teach him. "Thank you, Master," Tenzin said. "I will try to let go of my attachment to the world and my ego." The elder monk smiled. "Remember, Tenzin, the journey is just as important as the destination. Focus on the present moment, and the rest will fall into place." Tenzin left the elder monk's cave feeling lighter and more at peace than he had in years. He walked back down the mountain path, taking in the beauty of the world around him without any expectations or judgments. Over time, Tenzin practiced the lessons he had learned from the elder monk, letting go of his attachment to the world and his ego. He began to focus on the present moment and the beauty of the world around him, just as the elder monk had advised. Tenzin also started to incorporate mindfulness meditation into his daily routine. He would sit quietly and observe his thoughts without judgment, allowing them to pass through his mind like clouds in the sky. At first, Tenzin found it difficult to quiet his mind during meditation. He would get frustrated with himself when his thoughts wandered, but he continued to practice, remembering the elder monk's advice to let go of his attachment to his ego and expectations. As he continued to meditate, Tenzin noticed that his mind began to calm down. His thoughts became less jumbled, and he started to feel more at peace. Tenzin realized that meditation was a powerful tool for calming the mind and finding inner peace. Over time, Tenzin's newfound peace and calmness began to radiate outwards. His fellow monks at the monastery noticed a change in him, and they would often seek his advice when they were feeling anxious or stressed. Tenzin would share the lessons he had learned from the elder monk and teach his fellow monks the power of mindfulness meditation. He encouraged them to let go of their attachment to their egos and the world around them, and to focus on the present moment. As Tenzin's teaching spread throughout the monastery, he became known as a wise and compassionate teacher. He would often spend hours in conversation with his fellow monks, sharing stories and wisdom from the Buddhist teachings. Eventually, Tenzin's teachings even reached beyond the walls of the monastery. People from nearby villages and towns would come to seek his advice on how to calm their minds and find inner peace. Tenzin's reputation as a wise teacher grew, and he became known throughout the region as a spiritual leader. People came from far and wide to hear his teachings and seek his guidance. Despite his newfound fame, Tenzin remained humble and focused on his practice. He knew that his own inner peace was the foundation of his teachings, and he continued to meditate and practice mindfulness every day. Years went by, and Tenzin grew old. One day, as he sat outside the monastery, watching the sun set behind the mountains, he felt a sense of deep gratitude and contentment. Tenzin knew that he had lived a good life, one filled with purpose and meaning. He had dedicated his life to helping others find peace and happiness, and he had found it himself along the way. As the sun dipped below the horizon, Tenzin closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He felt the cool mountain air fill his lungs, and he smiled. "Thank you, Master," Tenzin whispered to himself, remembering the elder monk who had taught him the power of letting go of attachment and focusing on the present moment. "Thank you for showing me the way." And with that, Tenzin opened his eyes and turned his gaze back to the mountains, content in the knowledge that he had found true inner peace.